As I think about what it takes to be successful in any role, based upon my experience working in large organizations, there are two or three things that come into play. One is obviously the need to have the knowledge, skills, and experience that's required by that particular role. The other is the need to have kind of a constellation of personal characteristics that match the demand of the role. And I'll give some examples of that in just a second. But I want to make my comments specific, of course, to Bill Casey and the role that he fills, which is unique in many ways because he comes into organizations, first of all, on a temporary basis. I mean, people know on the front end when Bill's coming into an organization that he's not going to be there forever, but he's going to be there for a period of time, a critical period of time in many cases, which is the other thing that makes what Bill does kind of unique. Most of the time when he comes into organizations, they're in a period of significant change. So people are feeling a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and there are lots of uncertainties about where the organization is headed. So that particular kind of situation requires a particular set of characteristics. And then I'll go back to my two categories that I talked about a minute ago. Let's talk about knowledge, skills, and experience, and I'll give you an example specifically there. I think one of the things required in the kind of situation that Bill typically walks into is an appreciation for the fact that, number one, of course, the organization is under stress in a period of significant change, and that what you have to do, especially as a new person coming in on a temporary basis in an organization, is to do two things. First of all, help the organization move forward, do the things that it needs to do to take care of the situation that it's in and deal decisively with moving that organization forward. But at the same time, you have to be sensitive for and appreciative of what's made that organization successful in the past. And you have to have the understanding and the knowledge and the know-how that I think Bill has gained through experience to make sure that you honor those things. Make people feel good about where they have been in the past, what they have done, what they do bring in terms of capabilities into the future, and then help them move into that future at the same time. So I think Bill does a great job of that kind of thing. That's a set of knowledge and skills that he's learned through experience. To give you an example on the other end, on the personal characteristics ends, and what I'm talking about here are characteristics that the individual brings into the role. They're not necessarily changeable. They tend to bring them into the role. They either have them or they don't. And it's important to recognize that those are critical kinds of things that have to match to the demands of the role in order for a person to be successful in the role. So an example that I would give for Bill is that since he's coming into organizations that are in crisis and are undergoing a good deal of change and have typically lots of problems that have to be dealt with, you have to be not only good at dealing with problems, but in Bill's case, he likes problems. I mean, he's happiest when he's dealing with problems. And that a lot of people aren't wired that way. A lot of people are stressed by problems, and if you're stressed by a problem, people pick up the fact that you're stressed by a problem, and especially if you're in a highly visible leadership position, that makes it more difficult for them to deal with the stress that they're feeling. Bill comes in and he's stimulated by problems. He tends to see opportunities in problems, and I think that relaxed kind of a nature, that let's get excited about the opportunities that are in front of us, kind of a natural tendency that Bill has, really complements nicely the knowledge and skills and experience that he brings as a result of his many years in the industry. So those are a couple of the reasons why I feel very enthusiastic about endorsing Bill for the kind of work that he does.